station. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages, documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the Star Times platform, channel 359 for partnership.
I'm hoping that our women will be dying needlessly during childbirth.
Federal government moves to capture more Nigerians into the quality basic health care net.
A complete shutdown of the airport will impact negatively on international trade and related activities.
Senate kicks against planned closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, for rehabilitation, as the House of Representatives commends federal government over the defeat of Boko Haram. Plus, ECOWAS leaders' mission to Gambia pushed forward on the request of the Gambian President, Yahya Jammeh. Welcome to NTA Network News. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. The high-level mediation mission of the Economic Community of West African States, led by Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, has pushed forward its visit to Banjul, the Gambia's capital, to Friday, as requested by the President Yahya Jammeh. According to a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari, who is mediating alongside the immediate past President of Ghana, John Mahama, says the delay notwithstanding, ECOWAS mandate will be accomplished. President Buhari reiterated ECOWAS leaders' appeal on Monday for Gambian leaders to do everything they can to douse the tension in the Gambia. The Nigerian leader re-echoed ECOWAS's commitment in resolving the crisis through inclusive dialogue with respect to the Constitution and the will of the Gambian people. The federal government says it is irrevocably committed towards reversing the poor health indices in the country by ensuring that a greater number of Nigerians have access to quality basic health care services, no matter their location. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the flag-off of the Model Primary Health Care Center for Universal Health Coverage at Kuchigoro Village on the outskirts of Abuja. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The inauguration of the Kuchigoro Model Primary Healthcare Center kickstarts the implementation of the federal government's vision of revitalizing 10,000 primary healthcare facilities across Nigeria, where quality services will be obtained at little or no cost by the beneficiaries. The primary healthcare revitalization program, President Muhammadu Buhari said, is not only in line with the change agenda, but also the fulfillment of the government's promise to provide succor to all segments of the society, especially the poor.
I am aware that less than 5% of the total population is covered by any kind of health insurance or risk protection mechanism. Our vision is to reverse this unsatisfactory situation and better care for poor and the needy.
To this end, the President promised to, among others, put the health of Nigerians as a top priority, ensure the implementation of the provisions of the National Health Act 2014, and focus more on the health needs of the vulnerable population in the rural areas, especially women, children under the age of 5, and the elderly.
I am hopeful that our women will no more be dying needlessly during childbirth. Our children will no more be dying needlessly as a result of vaccine-preventable diseases or lack of money to pay. I want to call on all state governors to see this as a call to action to make realization of primary health care centers a vital part of this agenda.
Already, he said, $1.5 million has been given to each of the states and the FCT to ensure quality health care to women and children through the initiative of saving 1 million lives. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewole, said with the robust programs of action, trust and confidence of Nigerians have now been restored in the health system, and commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his commitment to the health and well-being of Nigerians.
Your Excellency, your agenda is about delivering on your promises, is about maintaining the health of this country. We now have a standard, first-class primary health care facility that any country will be proud of globally.
There were messages of support from the World Health Organization, the National Assembly, the FCT administration, and the Kuchigoro community.
I think when we talk about change, I want to say that this is change in the right direction, and we support it wholeheartedly.
We should be able to also replicate this in all the other 223 private healthcare centers across the FCT.
At the event, President Muhammadu Buhari also inaugurated the National Steering Committee of the National Health Act and presented to the public guidelines of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Anti-corruption agencies in the country have been urged to step up their engagement with the Nigerian public to completely delegitimize corruption. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this while meeting with a delegation of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption led by its chairman, Professor Ise Sage. The Vice President, who commended the committee for its excellent work so far, observed that it has removed skepticism as to whether an anti-corruption initiative could work well in the country. While expressing satisfaction that the anti-corruption war has been going on very well, especially with the role of the committee, the Vice President also noted that it is important that corruption trials, once commenced, should be concluded promptly. Leader of the delegation, Professor Ise Sage, said the advisory committee has engaged with all anti-corruption agencies in the country, including the Nigeria Police Force and the judiciary. He noted that cooperation has been very effective. Senate plenary Tuesday has kicked against the planned closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The rejection followed deliberations on a motion sponsored by Senator Hope Uzodimma from Imo State. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu has details of these and other activities at Tuesday's plenary.
In the motion, Senator Hope Uzodimma observed that the decision of the federal government to close the airport for 6 weeks, beginning from March 6, 2017, according to him, is capable of causing untold hardship and risks for the nation.
A complete shutdown of the airport will impact negatively on international trade and related activities, with a multiplier effect that can exert further pressure on an already recessed national economy.
If there are certain portions of it that are long enough, there can be restrictions on how planes can land. And you can only decide on the type of planes that will come at a certain time when certain portions are being mended.
I can see that Nigerian political elites always avoid the problem they created for the nation. Where there is kidnapping, they don't want to go there. Where the road is bad, they don't want to go there. Where there is inconvenience, they don't want to go there for 6 weeks.
The plenary agreed to invite stakeholders from relevant authorities to meet with the Senate with a view to exploring other options. Another motion considered is that of recent killings in southern Kaduna sponsored by Danjumalar, which the plenary agreed that it will be investigated thoroughly by an ad hoc committee. The Senate also confirmed chairman and commissioners of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Ali Ata Aidogo, representing Kogi East, who returned to the Senate, took his oath of office. Earlier, while welcoming senators from the Christmas New Year break, the Senate President described 2016 as a very challenging year in which the National Assembly's performance helped set the stage for a greater and better 2017.
I also thank the President for showing faith with the work we're doing here, as he has already signed into law 16 of these bills we have passed. It is my hope that as we begin to turn our focus now towards the passage of the 2017 budget, we will simultaneously work with the budget to enable we exit the recession quickly.
From the National Assembly, Waziri Zayan, NTA News.
Still on the Apex legislature, the Senate has a new majority leader. He is Senator Ahmed Lawal, senator representing Yobe North and the immediate past chairman, Senate Committee on Defense. National Assembly correspondent Wazir Zayano has details of the change in leadership of the 8th Senate.
The second order of the day is a motion, very important one for that matter, standing in the name of distinguished Senator.
That was Senator Muhammadu Ali Ndume's last remarks in his capacity as majority leader of the 8th Senate. It was when he stepped out of the chambers briefly thereafter that the announcement of his replacement was made.
And upon due deliberation and consultation, the APC caucus of the Senate hereby wish to notify you of the change in the leadership of the Senate, that the new Senate leader be and is now Senator Ahmed Lawal representing Yobe North Central District, Yobe State.
Ahmed Lawan's emergence followed his appointment as leader of All Progressive Congress APC Senate caucus sometimes Monday evening. Briefing the media subsequently, Senator Ali Ndume said he was not aware of the change.
As you have seen today, I was leading the business of the Senate, and when it was like 1:45, as usual, I asked my deputy to sit in for me while I go to pray.
As far as I'm concerned, that's why I said it's a caucus affair. The way you hear and I saw me, I hear.
The new Senate leader expressed gratitude to his colleagues and pledged to justify the confidence reposed in him.
This is in the realization of the position of Mr. President that the party's primacy must at all times be upheld. This is equally the position of our party, the APC.
Senator Muhammad Ali Ndume has been the Senate majority leader since inception of the 8th National Assembly. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC has congratulated Senator Ahmed Lawan on his election as the Senate Majority Leader and commended Senator Muhammad Ali Ndume for his service and sacrifice to the APC. In a statement, the APC's National Publicity Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, says the party views the move as a concrete expression of faith by the APC Senate caucus in an effort to resolve the lingering issues that have trailed the election of the Senate leadership and to reunite the various interest groups. Malam Bolaji notes that the Senate has demonstrated willingness to finally submit to the will of the party by this major step forward. The House of Representatives has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for what it describes as his political will to defeat Boko Haram and for dislodging them from the Sambisa forest. Speaker Yakubu Dogara expressed this appreciation while welcoming members from the Christmas and New Year holidays. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara welcomed members and recalled the victory of the Nigerian Armed Forces over Boko Haram. He commended the federal government and the Nigerian Armed Forces for what he described as a great and remarkable achievement.
It was during this break that our citizens woke up to a heartwarming and cheering news when the military authorities declared they had captured the most strategic major stronghold held by Boko Haram terrorists. Before we went on break, this House by resolution mandated the leadership to meet with Mr. President on the challenges posed by these senseless killings. Having met with Mr. President, I'm happy to report that I'm satisfied with the response of the President on these matters.
Speaker Dogara says in 2017, the House will focus on revamping the economy and ensure accelerated consideration of critical bills such as the Petroleum Industry Bill and the Constitutional Amendment Bill. He reassured Nigerians that the House will ensure transparency and inclusiveness in their consideration of the 2017 budget.
Measures to exit Nigeria out of recession must be the critical aspect of our legislative activity in 2017. The recent spate of impeachment of speakers of houses of Assembly of States gives cause for grave concern. While we recognize the constitutional right of the legislature to conduct its internal affairs, including the right to hire and fire its leadership, it presents a different scenario where such leadership hiring and firing is rife with accusations and insinuations of external influence.
Tuesday's House plenary passed at third reading a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna, a bill for an act to amend the Wages Board and Industrial Council Act, which seeks to review upwards fines for defaulters, was passed at second reading, sponsored by Representative Peter Patterson from Edo State. Members observed a minute silence in honor of the late former governor of Niger State, Abubakar Kure. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Water Resources has awarded contract for the construction of 65 solar-powered boreholes nationwide. Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu said the job was awarded at the cost of 1 billion naira and is contained in the 2016 capital projects provisions. Musbao Nawahab reports.
According to a 2015 survey by the Ministry of Water Resources, access to potable water nationwide is put at 69%, which shows that over 56 million Nigerians still lack access to potable water in the country. However, programs such as the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, PRUSH, and the award of contract to these 55 borehole drillers are part of government's pledge and determination to turn the tide.
Government comes and drills boreholes and leaves, and the people think that it belongs to the government. It's not their business. So even for a maintenance of 1,000 naira, a large community, nobody will bother to volunteer. What we are saying now is every scheme that is going to be done will have community participation, and they are going to take ownership.
The minister urged the contractors handling the project to follow the contract specifications and assured of government's resolve to boost synergy among states and local governments to increase potable water supply in Nigeria.
And I believe that the contractors that they've shortlisted, they have the capacity to do a proper job.
The 65 boreholes will be constructed in 28 states with more concentration on the disaster challenge areas in the northeast. In Abuja, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
The federal government has awarded contract for additional early works on the second Niger Bridge, linking Delta and Anambra states in the south-south and southeast geopolitical zones. The contract was awarded at the cost of 14.4 billion naira. A statement by the Assistant Director Information in the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Mohammed Abdullahi, announced that the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is resolutely committed to completing this important project, whose idea started in the late 1970s. In a related development, the federal government has also awarded contract for emergency repairs of Tamburawa Bridge along Kano-Kaduna Dual Carriageway in Kano State. The project, awarded at a cost of 1.9 billion naira, followed public outcry and concerns expressed by Kano State Governor Dr. Abdullahi Umar Gamduje over the integrity of the bridge. President Muhammadu Buhari has joined the Nollywood family and media industry in congratulating ace entertainer, presenter and comedian Jimmy Johnson, also known as Okoro, who turns 77 years old on January 11, 2017. President Buhari, in a statement, extols the exceptional talent, skills, and versatility of the veteran actor, whose sterling performances in The Village Headmaster, The Citizens, and other soap operas earned him reputation and recognition at both national and international levels. As one of the pioneers of television drama in Nigeria and a respected thespian, the president believes the septuagenarian's contribution to the movie industry, which ranks second in the world, remains indelible, especially as Nigerian actors now play major roles in national and global development. President Buhari prays that the Almighty God will grant Jimmy Johnson longer life, good health, and the strength to keep serving. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Trial of former governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shehu Shema, for corruption begins in Katsina. Plus, Directorate of State Services degrades terrorist activities in the country. These and more after the break. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop of feeding ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains,
Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Xiaomi M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test. Xiaomi M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Xiaomi M6, always in power.
The Future Assured project and its components Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
The climax of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is here. Join President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, the Minister of Defense, service chiefs, heads of paramilitary organizations, the diplomatic corps and the Nigerian veterans as Nigeria appreciates the resilience of the armed forces, remembers the contributions of her veterans to internal and world security, as well as honor those who paid the supreme price to give us peace. Welcome to the National Cenotaph and wreath-laying ceremony as Nigeria marks the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The sacrifice of our serving heroes, living veterans, and those gone beyond, and the families they left behind cannot be forgotten. There will be free medical outreach on January 15th for both veterans and VIPs to check their health status in all 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Venue, the Cenotaph, National Arcade, 3 Arms Zone, Abuja. Time, 8:30 a.m. Date, 15th January 2017. Appreciating the resilience of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Don't miss it. Announcer, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar for National Planning Committee.
So what's up, sweetheart? You really look like you're up to something.
I have a secret.
Hey?
I'll be going to Europe next week.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like you have your visa, your passport, your plane ticket?
No, not that way. Some men are helping us. We pay them, they take us through the desert, and then we cross the sea into Europe.
The desert? The sea? Isn't that the route where many have died?
Yes, it is indeed a very dangerous journey. In 2016 alone, 4,900 people died while crossing the Mediterranean Sea to enter Europe. Many were Nigerians. For the very few who survived the journey, they are forced into prostitution or other crimes just to survive. Eventually, they will be arrested and deported to Nigeria. Don't be a victim. Don't go this way.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
With the fall of Camp Zero Boko Haram enclave in Sambisa Forest, the federal government has promised speedy resettlement of internally displaced persons and reconstruction of affected communities in the northeast geopolitical zone. This was disclosed when executives of the Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative visited service chiefs in Abuja. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma reports.
Inaugurated in October 2016, the Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative has a 3-year mandate to rebuild the Northeast, devastated by insurgency, as well as rehabilitate and resettle the over 2.4 million internally displaced persons. This advocacy visit by the Subcommittee on Security, Peace Building and Stabilization is to solicit the armed forces' support in the rebuilding process.
We are here to seek for other areas of collaboration and intervention to bring succor to the populace in the Northeast.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibokite Ibas, says the establishment of a Navy outpost around the Lake Chad Basin will provide security towards the revival of economic activities in riverine communities of the Northeast.
We also believe that it will serve as a confidence building to the people, as well as support other government initiatives for peace building through socio-economic activities and interactions.
Also visited by the committee was the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, who is desirous of the well-being of the IDPs. He noted that the Nigerian Air Force has established medical facilities in the region and is willing to do more.
At any time you have anything that you think the Air Force can do, including moving materials from any part of Nigeria to Maiduguri, using our C-130 aircraft, which can carry up to at least 20,000 kilograms, at no cost at all.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, expressed optimism that with the support of the armed forces, the committee will also address the humanitarian needs of the people in the region. At the Defense Headquarters, the committee was received by the Chief of Defense Policy and Plans, Air Vice Marshal Bashir Seidu, on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, promising unflinching support in his action plan for lasting peace and stability in the Northeast. In another development, the Nigerian Navy now has Captain Suleiman Dahu as the Acting Director of Information, with the posting of Rear Admiral Christian Ezekobe to the Defense Headquarters. In a brief handover ceremony, Rear Admiral Ezekobe commended the media for its support in the fight against insurgency and a harmonious working relationship with the armed forces, which his successor promised to uphold. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
A High Court sitting in Katsina has adjourned the case of misappropriation of funds against the immediate past governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shema, and 3 others to the 7th of February for mention. The accused were arraigned before Justice Maikai Tabago by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on 21 count charges. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa reports that they are accused of misappropriation of 11 billion naira.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned the immediate past governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shema, and 3 others before a high court on 22 count charges for financial impropriety to the tune of 11 billion naira. The funds meant for the 34 local government areas of the state were allegedly diverted through the state and local government's joint account. The former governor, alongside his former commissioner for local governments and chieftaincy affairs, Hamisu Makana, former permanent secretary in the ministry, Laura Rufai, and former chairman, Kaita Local Government Council, Ibrahim Lawal Lankaba, who is the immediate past chairman of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, are dependent in the suit. When the case came up for mention, counsel to the accused, Joseph Daudu, senior advocate of Nigeria, raised a preliminary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the case. The presiding judge, Justice Ibrahim Maikai Tabago, however, adjourned the case till 7th of next month for mention.
Now, the charges, in our view, were not supported by documents such as the statements of the witnesses. Even the statements written by the accused persons were not there.
This is the first time a former governor of the state is standing trial before a competent court of law over alleged financial impropriety. In Katsina, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
In its determined counter-terrorism efforts to consolidate on the gains it has made in the sustenance of offensive against identified criminal gangs, kidnap and terrorist elements across the country, the Department of State Services, DSS, has recorded major successes which have further degraded the capability of criminal elements to operate in the country. A statement by Tony Okpeyo of the Department of State Services announced that more than 20 persons, including a Nigeria customs officer, have been apprehended by the service in 8 states of the Federation in the last 10 days in connection with various alleged offenses. The statement explained that these successes were recorded as a result of proactive and credible intelligence offered by patriotic citizens and the effective cooperation of sister agencies as well as other relevant stakeholders. The DSS restates its determination to sustain the tempo within the provisions of the law as part of its drive towards ensuring the security of lives and property of all law-abiding residents and citizens in the country. The Center for Social Justice, one of the election monitors in Edo and Ondo governorship elections, has established that major contending political parties in the election spent more than the 200 million naira limit set for campaigns in the Electoral Act. To this end, the Center is calling for further review of the Electoral Act to cope with the current realities. Political correspondent Abdullah Kudu reports.
Section 91 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended sets the limit of campaign expenses by governorship candidate to be 200 million naira. In its report of Edo and Ondo governorship election finance and the use of state administrative resources, the Center for Social Justice reveals that in Edo, while the APC candidate incurred more than 1 billion naira, that of PDP was more than 614 million naira expended. The Center therefore advised for upward review of the ceiling to 1 billion naira. It also expressed concern over the political tension that rears its ugly head anytime there is election, calling on all stakeholders to come together and find the way out.
Anytime elections are to be held in any part of the state, you see a lot of heated politics and the rest. So that would even make the electoral body itself not have a good grip of how to manage it. It is very natural that if there is a threatened security in any part of the state, you can't deploy your men, materials, and just go ahead to conduct elections.
The Center also advised INEC to hold further consultations with political parties to check the use of money during elections. In Abuja, Abdullahi Kudu, NTA News.
Intervention of veteran labor leaders in Nigeria has been seen as the antidote to the lingering crisis rocking the Nigeria labor movement. Guests on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria, also expressed the belief that pluralization of the labor movement will not augur well for the country. Saliu Abdullahi monitored the program and now reports.
The guests recall with nostalgia the vibrant nature of the hitherto Nigerian labor movement, which has been actively and objectively involved in the struggle to protect the rights of Nigerian workers and other Nigerians. Labor movement, they say, must be dynamic, describing as unfortunate recent development within the Nigerian Labor Union, which gave rise to the emergence of a new labor center.
And even the law that we're talking about plurality, simply says that if you want to create a new labor center, you create a new labor center from a new industrial unions. You just don't wake up and create a new labor center from an existing one.
Irrespective of whatever permutation we may make, is a clear setback for the labor movement in the country if we again divide into small groups.
The guests are of the opinion that for effective governance in democratic society, the role of labor movement is key and can only be achieved through vibrant internal democracy within labor unions.
And if you have a labor standing for the people, it is then that the people will be rest assured that policies and programs of government will be geared towards their interest.
In the quest for a vibrant, efficient, and effective labor union activities, the guest pointed out the leadership succession plan that existed since inception of NLC in 1978 should be upheld to move the union forward. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Still on labor, the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers Union, NUPENG, says it is meeting with government representatives on Wednesday over its lingering dispute with the international oil companies operating in Nigeria. The union announced this after its emergency National Executive Council meeting in Abuja, on the 3-day warning strike.
Pending the outcome of the tomorrow's meeting, which we are all hopeful that is going to be positive, that we may be embarking on the 2 days warning strike. But however, like I said, the Minister of Labour has called for a meeting tomorrow, Wednesday being the actual day of our takeoff of the 2 days warning strike. We have deliberated extensively into these issues.
Time now to go to our Lagos Network Center, where Vera is there to tell us updates from that zone. Hello, Vera.
Thank you, Kudu. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has signed the 812.9 billion naira year 2017 appropriation law with a promise that the budget will be faithfully implemented. His administration, he says, is determined to make Lagos work for all, irrespective of age, gender, tribe, or status. Nusa Osula completes the story.
The appropriation bill presented to the Lagos State House of Assembly by Governor Ambode in November 29, 2016 was unanimously passed into law by members of the House on the 3rd of January 2017. Ambode said the 2017 budget was the article of faith of his administration with Lagos residents, as it was in line with delivering on the promises made to the people.
We are encouraged by the budget performance of last year, which stood at 78%. Our total capital expenditure in 2017 will be 507.8 billion naira, while recurrent expenditure is estimated at 305.18 billion naira.
Ambode also added that the 2017 budget would enable his administration to focus on present challenges of food security, transportation and traffic management, physical and social infrastructural development, as well as job creation.
Our government is committed to prudent financial management and equitable allocation of resources for the general good, and will ensure proper fiscal discipline in the implementation of this appropriation law.
Chairman Lagos State House of Assembly Committee on Economic Planning and Budget, Rotimi Olowo, assured residents that the budget would be faithfully implemented. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
And if you just joined us, you're still watching NTA Network News, reaching you live from the Lagos Network Center. We have more reports ahead on the news from Abuja when we return after this time out. Stay with us.
Hey, Coca-Cola?
You're in luck. It's happy hour. So, you want a free Coca-Cola, but you have to drink it here.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test. Gioni M6 for a 5,000 milliamp battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Gioni M6, always in power.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. Federal government commences independent monitoring of state finances as it appoints 6 accounting firms for the implementation of fiscal sustainability plan. Details of these and more with Vivian Idekpefo on Business News.
A warm welcome to this segment. Small-time business owners are clamoring for a venture capital system that will energize small and medium enterprises, giving them room to grow on merit and not timing. Speaking with Business News, Ogbonna Ukuku says venture capital is crucial as it provides small businesses the opportunity to access capital that fortifies their equity and competitiveness.
Now, I'm talking about opening the economic space where booth leasing is allowed to happen because we don't have a venture capital system.
A McKinsey article titled Uncovering Hidden Opportunities in Africa projects a possible investment figure of $50 billion over the next decade at an increase rate of 80% yearly. The federal government has appointed 8 accounting firms to monitor and evaluate the fiscal sustainability plan. The FSP specifies conditions under which 35 state governments will access the 510 billion naira budget support facility. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, in a statement says the firms are to verify the performance of the states against the agreed milestones set by each state government under the FSP. State governments that fail to implement the action plan as stated would be taken off the facility with immediate effect. And stocks fell by 0.88% on the Nigerian Stock Exchange Tuesday after 2 days of bullish sentiments. Market turnover closed positive as volume traded appreciated by 70.23%. Its year-to-date returns currently stands in the negative at 1.97%. That concludes this segment at this time. The bulletin continues.
Thank you, Vivian. Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun says the federal government has started the development of a special housing scheme targeted at Nigeria's diaspora in various parts of the country. This is coming ahead of the planned implementation of the diaspora bond policy this year. The minister spoke when she received the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, who said she is anxiously longing for the takeoff of the bond. The Finance Minister explained that the housing scheme, which was conceived to effectively drive the diaspora bond initiative, will deliver modern, secure, affordable, and ready-to-occupy houses complete with certificates of occupancy. The Senior Special Assistant on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora shared her sentiments on the value-laden policy initiative as the nation reaches out to Nigeria's diaspora for national development. The housing scheme, which is in partnership with the state government and financial institutions, has kicked off in Nasarawa, Anambra, Delta, Ogun, and Lagos states. The federal government is to develop a national action plan towards addressing outbreaks of avian influenza, known as bird flu, in the country. Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ugbe, said this became necessary as some neighboring countries proposed ban on poultry and poultry products from Nigeria. Musa Baba Aliu has the rest of the story.
Since the first outbreak of avian influenza in Nigeria, the disease has been a major challenge not only to poultry farmers, but also both the federal and state governments. In 2014, 21 states reported a major outbreak that led to the depopulation of over 3.5 million birds. And recently, a new strain of the virus was reported in Kano State.
We are able to contain the problem of avian flu now.
We have built the capacity of technical staff, both at the federal and state levels, on disease containment, surveillance and implementation of biosecurity measures and response to disease situations.
This meeting with State Commissioners of Agriculture is to examine the new outbreaks and fashion out modalities towards having an action plan on avian influenza and other related diseases in the country. Under the action plan, the government is to adopt preventive measures against bird flu, insurance scheme for the poultry industry, compensation, biosecurity measures, and hygienic practices. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Up ahead, global tidbits, sports news, and Wednesday's weather prospects. Don't go away.
Consolidating democracy in Nigeria through stability within the state assemblies and their purposefulness. In the light of recent development, this is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, informative, educative, and analytical. Join us.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as internally displaced people scams. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you.
Ah, my shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria, and I've had it for 2 years, and it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy Made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Time now to go on the international scene. The Gambia's presidential election challenge postponed by the Supreme Court to May, and the United Arab Emirates to invest $163 billion in renewable energy projects. We'll take the story later, but first we'll go to Sokoto Network Center where Asma'u Habibu Shagari is standing by. Hello Asma'u, what's happening over there?
Hello Muhammad. Good evening and welcome to Sokoto. Islamic scholars have described the Community Contributory Health Scheme as legal and in conformity with Islamic jurisprudence. This was the resolution reached at a one-day sensitization lecture on Contributory Health Scheme introduced by Sokoto State Government. Sheikh Muhammad Deti reports that the lecture was organized by Sultan of Sokoto Muhammad Saad Abubakar III in collaboration with the State Ministry of Health.
The sensitization lecture brought together Islamic scholars, traditional and community leaders to discuss the position of Islam on contributory health scheme. Speaking at the occasion, Governor Amin Waziri Tambol said the contributory health scheme is aimed at enhancing healthcare delivery in the state. He called on people of Sokoto to support the scheme for the rapid development of the state.
The aim of providing the health social security system
that granted the provision of needed healthcare services to persons on the payment of token contribution at regular intervals. In this respect, the Act provided a window for the states to establish the state-owned contributory health scheme, which will facilitate the NHIS activities.
Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, commended the sensitization lecture, saying it will educate Nigerian Muslims on the Islamic positions on contributory health scheme. At the end of the lecture, the Islamic scholars and other stakeholders agreed that the community contributory health scheme is in line with the Islamic Sharia, hence the need for its adoption. With this development, 40 million Nigerians are expected to embrace the contributory health scheme. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Eti, NTA News.
About 10% of children targeted in the last round of polio immunization in Sokoto State were missed. This is one of the challenges identified at the review meeting of the State Task Force on Polio Eradication and Improved Routine Immunization, chaired by the State Deputy Governor, Ahmad Aliyu. Muhammad Nasir completes the story.
The State Deputy Governor Ahmad Aliyu, who is also the Chairman State Task Force on Polio Eradication and Routine Immunization, said in the last round of immunization plus days, non-compliance and missing of some of the targeted children were among the challenges of administering oral polio vaccine in the state. He said the meeting, which had in attendance development partners and other stakeholders, deliberated on how to fully cover all the eligible children in the next round of the immunization plus days.
We discussed the challenges of last IPD's round, issues of non-compliance, issues of missed children, and data generation.
Executive Secretary of Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Sani Labaran, said measures will be put in place to ensure that all the eligible children are immunized. He said as at the time of the vaccinators' visit to houses, the missing children were said to have gone to school or playing grounds.
We discovered that there are some wards in the state that far fall below expectation. Some below, ideally, there should not be missed children of more than 10% of the total.
In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
And that's our package from Sokoto. Is back to Muhammad in Abuja for more news. Good evening.
Thank you, Asma'u, and we apologize for that slight glitch there. Now, Chidindima NBC is here with the global tidbits.
Supreme Court says it will not be able to hear President Yahya Jammeh's petition until May because the Nigerian judge who is to act as president of the court is currently unavailable. His legal team has agreed with the new date. President Jammeh is refusing to hand over power after he lost at the December polls. Rather, he's requesting for a rerun of the election. Meanwhile, the information minister has resigned and fled to neighboring Senegal, calling on others in the cabinet to join in resigning. The regional bloc, ECOWAS, is sending a delegation to the Gambia on Wednesday. And with Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni appointing his eldest son, who is a major general in the army, as his special advisor, there are renewed speculations that he is being groomed to take over as the president. From Cote d'Ivoire comes a report that President Alassane Ouattara has appointed his former prime minister as the country's first vice president, a position created under the new constitution adopted through a referendum in October last year. In the meantime, deadly twin bomb blast near the Afghan parliament in Kabul has killed at least 30 people, injuring 80 others. The Taliban has taken responsibility for the attack, saying its target was the members of the Afghan intelligence agency. That's Global Tidbits. Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
And Kene Amagudike is here with the sports update.
Implementation and Technical Committee for the maiden President Muhammadu Buhari National Youth Open Water Swimming Championship Tuesday in Abuja inspected the Jabi Lake to ascertain its readiness to